What if I told you that the biggest, most charismatic movie star of the 1980s wasn't a person? It had no lines, it couldn't sign autographs, but its on-screen presence was electrifying. It had sleek lines, a thundering voice, and a signature move that no one could copy. I'm talking, of course, about the Grumman F-14 Tomcat. Thanks to a certain Hollywood blockbuster, the Tomcat became a symbol of American air power and pure, unadulterated coolness. But behind the Hollywood glamour lies a story of Cold War desperation, groundbreaking technology, and the brutal lessons learned in the skies over Vietnam. The F-14 wasn't built for the movies. It was built to be the undisputed king of the skies, a long-range guardian designed to protect America's floating fortresses, its aircraft carriers, from the most dangerous threats imaginable. So, strap in as we peel back the layers of legend and look at the engineering masterpiece that is the F-14 Tomcat. To understand why the Tomcat was born, we have to go back to the 1960 seconds. The U.S. military was in the grip of an idea pushed by then Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara. Commonality. The goal was to build a single aircraft that could do everything for every branch of the military. This led to the F-111, a technologically ambitious aircraft that worked wonders for the Air Force as a strike bomber, but was a total disaster for the Navy. The naval version, the F-111B, was too heavy, underpowered, and completely unsuited for the violent reality of carrier operations. It was a sitting duck in a dogfight. Meanwhile, in the skies over Vietnam, Navy pilots in their F-4 Phantoms were discovering a deadly truth. Missiles weren't everything. They needed better maneuverability and a cannon for close-in fights. At the same time, a new, even deadlier threat was emerging from the Soviet Union. Hordes of long-range bombers, armed with ship-killer missiles that could be launched from hundreds of miles away. The Navy's existing fighters couldn't intercept them far enough out. The fleet was vulnerable. They needed a new kind of weapon, a fleet defense interceptor, an aircraft that could fly far from the carrier, carry a massive radar and powerful long-range missiles, and still be nimble enough to win a knife fight. After the F-111B was unceremoniously canceled by Congress, the Navy launched the VFX program. The winner was a company with a long history of building tough, reliable naval aircraft. Grumman. Their design would become the F-14 Tomcat. When you see an F-14, the first thing you notice is its most iconic feature: the variable sweep wings. This was the brilliant engineering solution to the Navy's conflicting demands. With the wings swept forward to about 20 degrees, the F-14 had a massive wing area. This generated incredible lift, making it stable and maneuverable at low speeds for tricky carrier landings and for outturning opponents in a dogfight. But when the threat was miles away and speed was everything, the pilot could sweep the wings back to 68 degrees, turning the aircraft into a supersonic spear. This system was controlled automatically by a central air data computer, which optimized the wing position for every flight condition, freeing up the pilot to focus on the mission. The wings were the brawn, but the AN, divided by AWG-9 radar, was the brain. This system was a quantum leap in airborne technology. It was a massive, powerful pulse Doppler radar that could detect bomber-sized targets from over 215 miles away. But its real party trick was its track while scan capability. The AWG-9 could track up to 24 separate targets simultaneously. This wasn't just tracking. It could engage and guide missiles to 6 of those targets at the same time. This was a level of situational awareness and lethality no other fighter in the world possessed. To manage this fire hose of information, the F-14 had a 2-person crew, a pilot up front, and a radar intercept officer, or RIO, in the back. The RIO was the master of the radar and weapons systems, a crucial partnership that made the Tomcat so deadly. The Tomcat was a beast of a machine. From nose to tail, it measured over 62 feet long. Its wingspan was a massive 64 feet when fully forward, shrinking to just 38 feet when swept back for high-speed flight. Powering this giant were two afterburning turbofan engines. The early F-14 as used the Pratt & Whitney TF-30. Now, these engines produced a lot of thrust, but they were notoriously temperamental, prone to catastrophic compressor stalls. Pilots had to fly the plane with one eye, always on the engine gauges. This problem was finally solved in the later F-14B and F-14D models, with the installation of the phenomenal General Electric F-110 engines. These were not only vastly more reliable, but also more powerful, finally allowing pilots to truly exploit the Tomcat's incredible airframe. With the F-110S, the F-14 could rocket past Mach 2.3, or more than 1,500 miles per hour. It could climb like a homesick angel to a service ceiling of over 50,000 feet. Its combat range was around 575 miles. But with aerial refueling, its reach was limited only by the endurance of its crew. It could carry a massive payload of over 14,500 pounds of weapons and fuel tanks. This wasn't just a fighter, it was a flying missile platform. The centerpiece of the F-14's arsenal, designed to work in perfect harmony with its AWG-9 radar, was the AIM-54 Phoenix. This was a missile of staggering proportions. Each one was 13 feet long and weighed half a ton. The Phoenix was a true fire-and-forget weapon with its own active radar seeker. An F-14 could launch 6 of them at 6 different targets from over 115 miles away, then turn and escape before the enemy even knew they were under attack. This single weapon system defined the fleet defense mission and was a capability that the Soviets deeply feared. For medium-range combat, the Tomcat carried the reliable AIM-7 Sparrow, and for close-in dogfights, it had the heat-seeking AIM-9 Sidewinder, and, having learned the lesson of Vietnam, it also had an internal 20mm M61 Vulcan cannon with 675 rounds for when the fight got up close and personal. But the Tomcat's story doesn't end there. In the 1,990 seconds, as the Cold War threat evaporated, the F-14 was given a new lease on life. With the integration of the Lantern targeting pod, the F-14 evolved into a formidable precision strike fighter nicknamed the Bombcat. Now it could deliver a wide array of laser-guided bombs and other air-to-ground ordnance with pinpoint accuracy, proving its versatility long after its original mission had faded. The F-14 Tomcat served as the U.S. Navy's premier fighter for over 32 years, from 1974 until its emotional retirement in 2006. Hundreds were built, serving on the decks of every U.S. aircraft carrier. Its combat debut came in 1981 over the Gulf of Sidra, where 2 F-14 seconds from VF-41 Black Aces decisively shot down 2 Libyan Su-22 fighter bombers. They repeated the feat in 1989, downing 2 Libyan MiG 23 seconds. Tomcats flew missions during Operation Desert Storm, enforced no-fly zones over Bosnia and Iraq, and flew strike missions deep into Afghanistan after 9/11 and during Operation Iraqi Freedom. Interestingly, the Tomcat had only one other operator, the Imperial Iranian Air Force. Just before the 1979 revolution, the Shah of Iran purchased 79 Tomcats to counter Soviet reconnaissance aircraft. After the revolution, these F-14 seconds became a critical asset for Iran in its brutal 8-year war with Iraq. Iranian pilots, many of them US-trained, used the Tomcat to devastating effect, claiming well over 150 aerial victories. Against all odds, through a campaign of cannibalization and reverse engineering, Iran has managed to keep a small number of these complex jets flying to this day, making it the F-14's last operator. No weapon system is perfect, and the Tomcat was a machine of incredible strengths and glaring weaknesses. Its greatest strength was its unparalleled fleet defense capability. Nothing else could reach out and eliminate threats at such extreme distances. Its variable sweep wings gave it a versatility that few other aircraft could match, allowing it to be both a stable, high-speed interceptor and a surprisingly agile dogfighter for its size. However, its complexity was its Achilles heel. The F-14 was an absolute maintenance nightmare. It required dozens of hours of maintenance for every single hour in the air, earning it the affectionate but telling nickname, the Turkey, among ground crews. The early TF-30 engines were a constant source of anxiety for pilots. Furthermore, its massive airframe and powerful radar made it a large and electronically noisy target, easy to spot for enemy sensors. It was a thoroughbred, fast and powerful, but expensive and demanding to keep in the race. So, how did the Tomcat stack up against its rivals? Its main American contemporary was the U.S. Air Force's F-15 Eagle. The F-15 was a pure air superiority fighter, lighter, more powerful, and arguably a more dominant dogfighter. But it lacked the F-14's extreme range radar and the Phoenix missile. Think of it this way. The F-15 was the supreme duelist, while the F-14 was the long-range sniper protecting the castle. Its main Soviet adversary for much of its life was the MiG-25 Foxbat, the very plane that spurred its development. The Foxbat was blazingly fast, but it was a one-trick pony. It flew fast and high but couldn't turn, and its technology was crude by comparison. The F-14 was vastly superior in every aspect, except for raw top speed. A more worthy adversary emerged later in the form of the Sukhoi Su-27 flanker. The Su-27 was a masterpiece of aerodynamics, incredibly agile, and equipped with a modern radar and missile suite. In a close-range, visual dogfight, a skilled flanker pilot could present a very serious challenge to the Tomcat. This matchup represented the pinnacle of Cold War fighter design, the long-range American interceptor versus the hyper-maneuverable Soviet air superiority fighter. So, was the F-14 Tomcat just a movie star? Absolutely not. While Top Gun cemented its place in pop culture, its true legacy was written in the service of the U.S. Navy. For over 3 decades, it was a machine born of necessity, a complex and sometimes flawed solution to a very dangerous problem. It was the ultimate defender, the long-range shield of the fleet. The F-14 represented a unique moment in aviation history, a bridge between the analog fighters of the past and the digital, multi-role jets of today. Its combination of swing wings, a 2-man crew, and the legendary Phoenix missile system will likely never be seen again in a single airframe. While it has since been replaced by the more versatile and cost-effective F, divided by A-18 Super Hornet, the Tomcat's shadow looms large. It was a symbol of an era, a powerful, intimidating, and undeniably iconic machine that truly earned its legendary status. What do you think was the F-14's most defining feature? The iconic swing wings or its game-changing AIM-54 Phoenix missile? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into a true aviation legend, do us a favor and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next mission. Thanks for watching.